Mortefi is one of the best sub DPSs in the game, and the best support for Gian. And with Gian's rerun upcoming soon, there's no better time to learn how to build Mortefi.
Burn to ashes.
When you are using Mortefi, you want to build up his concerto energy as fast as possible, and have his liberation every rotation. Luckily, you will be able to do this once you've seen this guide. Mortefi can effectively level all of his abilities, except for his intro skill and basic attacks, since those don't really do a lot of damage. So let's start off by explaining how to use them. First, we have his basic attacks. These consist of 4 attacks, and even though they don't do a lot of damage, you will need them to build up your Forte circuit. Next up is his resonance skill, Passionate Variation. This is a single hit AoE dealing a nice amount of damage, and besides that, this will fill up your Forte bar by about 35%. When you use your skill, it also gives an effect. For 5 seconds after casting Passionate Variation, basic attacks will restore additional Forte, which conveniently completely fills your Forte bar from 0 to 100 after 1 basic attack string. Now that we talked about his skill, let's talk about his Forte circuit. In short, it is an enhanced resonance skill, dealing more damage in a wider AoE. Once it is available, you will be able to press your skill button regardless of it being on or off cooldown. And now for the ability that we've all been waiting for.
Rank Cutter.
Violent Finale. At sequence 0, this ability shoots coordinated attacks, called Marsado, at the enemy for 10 seconds. But if you happen to get sequence 4, the duration will be extended by 7 seconds. There are 2 ways of activating these attacks. The first one is when your active character deals basic attack damage. When this happens, he will launch 1 Marsato. The second is when your active character deals heavy attack damage. When this happens, he will launch 2 Marsados. Now, for those who got some sequences on Mortefi, there are 2 more ways to launch Marsados. The first is when you have sequence 1. Mortefi will also launch 2 Marsados when the active character uses a resonance skill. This makes him perfect for a teammate like Danjin. And the second way is sequence 5. When Mortefi uses a skill or Forte skill, Mortefi will launch 4 Marsado bullets, each dealing 50% of the original Marsato damage. I recommend leveling up his resonance liberation first. This is where most of his damage comes from, since you can use it every rotation. After that, I recommend leveling his Forte circuit, and after that, his resonance skill. They both deal nice damage, but his Forte deals a bit more, so that has priority. And lastly, his basic attacks. You use 1 basic attack string per rotation, so it isn't a lot of damage, but if you want to level this, I am not stopping you. I even did it myself. Sadly, there are no 5-star limited pistols in the game yet, but luckily there are 2 pistols I can recommend. The first is the Static Mist. With high base attack and a nice amount of crit rate, this will be Mortefi's best in slot. It also helps him with his energy regeneration, since it gives 12.8% energy recharge for free, and besides that, when Mortefi uses his auto skill, the incoming resonator will have 10% increased attack for 14 seconds. The second recommendation will be the Cadenzas. It has low base attack, but high energy regeneration, making it really easy to use your liberation every rotation. And at R5, you will gain 16 concerto energy when you use a skill. This can happen every 20 seconds.
Let's do this another way.
For his echoes, I recommend the Moonlit Cloud set. This set gives Mortefi a nice 10% energy regen bonus, which he will need because when you use the correct rotation, you will need about 130% energy regen to fill his liberation energy every rotation. And besides the energy, you will also be able to buff the incoming resonator's attack by 22.5%. And if you use the Impermanence Heron, which I recommend for the active echo slot, you will be able to boost the incoming character's damage by an additional 12%.
Fear no more.
As for the teams, you can use 3 different teams. For the healer slot, it can be either Farina, Baiji or Shorekeeper. These 3 are interchangeable based on whether you have them or not. The first team is going to be Gian, Mortefi and a healer. The second is Dungeon, Mortefi if you have S1 and a healer. And lastly, Jinshi, Mortefi if you have S4 and again a healer. It's safe to say that Gian is his best teammate. His Resonance Liberation mode turns Gian into a heavy attack machine, which makes Mortefi twice as powerful than your usual basic attacker. Dungeon is a special case, since you need S1 to make it work, but if you do have S1, this combo will be very strong. And lastly, Jinshi. Jinshi needs coordinated attacks. The only downside is that you will need S4 to make this work really well. Otherwise, it just doesn't generate enough forte for Jinshi. Mortefi's rotation is fairly simple. When you swap to him with an intro skill, you can instantly start off by using 2 resonance skills. After that, your forte circuit will charge faster when using basic attacks, so after 1 rotation, you should have enough for another skill. And finally, you should have enough energy to use your liberation, so you can use your echo and switch to your main DPS with max concerto energy. If you enjoyed this video, why not leave a like and maybe check out one of the videos on the screen right now. I appreciate you all. Till the next one, bye bye.